Hey, this is Jason Lovins from the Jason Lovins Band.
Hola, este es Rodney Moore.
This is Ted Lee.
This is Pete Strum.
Hi, this is Jonathon Waterman, and you're listening to the Grovecast.
Learning to trust in you, walk blindly by you as I move. When I'm weak, you are strong. You say, don't worry, the battle has been won.
Welcome everyone to another edition of the Grovecast. Sitting here at my office on the corner of South 29 Road and M55 West, and I am just overjoyed and honored to have Jonathon Waterman sitting here with me today. Just met him, 3 hours ago, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Pulled up tonight. He and Finding Favor are here at the church tonight. Now, by the time you hear this, it's going to be all over with, and we're going to have great reports of what God's done. They're singing for us tonight here at Cherry Grove. So we thought it would just be good to kind of pull them aside and talk to them individually here. And so I have Jonathon here with me today. Jonathon, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in my lovely, clean office.
It looks great.
You have to say that.
You should see our van. This looks really good.
Well, everybody says that. You know, when you get in your car, they're like, "Oh, you should see mine," or whatever. So
yeah.
You guys live in your van. I kind of live in here too, in a sense. So.
Yeah.
It happens. So
it does.
Jonathon is singing here with Finding Favor tonight and touring with them.
Yeah.
Let's just give us a little update on how you got together with them and how that partnership started.
Man, it really was a God thing. I know people kind of throw that around a lot, but for me, man, it was something I was praying over. I worked for a nonprofit called Food for the Hungry, and they were sponsoring the Toby Mac Hits Deep tour. And so I was on a bus on that tour, and I rode and lived with the Finding Favor guys in a bus for about 2 months. And we just got to know those guys, starting to hang out with them, and live with somebody in that tight space for so long. You really get to know people.
Yeah.
And we were just hanging out, and the tour was wrapping up. It ended, I think, a week. We're on our last week of run for that tour, and Blake just asked me. He said, "Hey, dude, like, what are you doing April, May, through the summer?" I said, "I got nothing going on right now." And he said, "Well, would you like to come out and open for us?"
Wow.
I said, "Of course. Yeah, I'd love to."
Yeah.
So they've been so good to me. And about a couple weeks after that, after he asked me, we jumped on the road to South Georgia and been doing it ever since.
Now, is that where you live?
I do not. No, I live in originally from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Pretty much born and raised there. Went to school in Springfield, Missouri at Evangel University down there. And then after I graduated, I moved to Nashville. And I've been in Nashville for about 4 years now.
Good deal.
So that's where my wife and I currently call home.
Now, we need to get your wife on here. Got to make sure we get her name and where because she's a Michigan girl.
Yeah, she is. My wife, Rochelle, she is from a town called Owasso, Michigan, just outside of Lansing. I'm sure some of your listeners will know where Owasso is.
Yeah.
So it's been great getting to come up here. And last night we were a little closer to there, and my in-laws, our family came out and saw me, and we hung out. So it's really good to get to do that. They've never seen me play before, so.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, so it was great for them to come out and see how their son-in-law tries to support their daughter. Thankfully they're so gracious and they're so supportive of what I do, and so it's great to have that. They're not telling me to get a real job or anything.
That's good.
They support my ministry, and they know what the heart is, and they
right
100% behind it. And so we're just super blessed to have.
That's awesome.
Parents like that.
That's a good deal. I guess if that's the first time they see it and they're still like, yeah, she can keep the ring on, things are good, right?
Yeah, things are good. Yeah.
You've been married how many years?
Just about a year and a halaf.
Oh man, you're still newlywed.
Newlywed. So
that's why you're still grinning and happy and bouncing around.
Yeah,
here, huh?
We got married in Michigan, in Livonia, just outside Detroit. In January, it was 55 degrees and sunny in January. So
this was last January, then 17.
So 2017.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. Her cousin got married in in Michigan. Went to the wedding about a year earlier than that in May, and it snowed. And we got married in January, and it's 55 and sunny.
You're
so.
speaking the language of these guys. They get it, because most people, you call them up, hey, do you remember that 55-degree day in January 17? Yeah, we do. We remember when that happened.
Mark on the calendar.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you said this is the first May that I've lived here. I've lived here 5.5 years that it didn't snow. So
Wow.
There you go, man. May was warm. Kind of warm anyway. This is warm today for June.
It is. Coming up to Michigan regularly, rare that you get it to be this hot.
Yeah.
For this long. I mean, so usually I like coming up here in the summertime. It's a bit of a break.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little warm in the day, but at nighttime it gets nice and cool. Have a bonfire.
Yeah.
So we love Michigan in the summertime, not so much in the wintertime. We try to avoid it in the wintertime, but
That's why the snowbirds leave here. The retired folks, they
Yeah.
stay in the warm weather, and a lot of them. Now the hardcore people wait till after Christmas, but some of them go in November and they come back in like May. They try to miss it all when
Yeah.
they can.
that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the cold.
I do. A lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
So it's not polite sometimes to ask somebody how old they are, but how old of a guy are you?
26.
26.
Yeah.
I figured you were mid-20s.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm good at that. Tell me about your life and what led you to want to play music for the Lord and what got you to where you're at today. Just ever how you want to tell it. It's up to you.
It's not a super long story. Nothing crazy. Grew up in the church. Both my grandfathers are pastors, so my parents raised me in the church and developed great friendships and foundations doing that. And my dad's a singer. Sang in the quartet at church. Grown up my entire life, and I was always kind of scared to sing in front of people. I never really sang. But in 6th grade, I wanted to start taking guitar lessons, so started doing that. Took lessons for 3 years, kind of learned how to play guitar, and but still wouldn't play music in front of people. When I got to high school, I played in the worship band. I played guitar for them, but I wouldn't sing.
Yeah.
And then went to college, not really knowing what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to go to the Air Force Academy at first, and that track was all lined up. Had my appointment from the governor and all that good stuff to go to the Air Force Academy, and last second changed my mind and just went to Evangel with my 3 best friends. And right before I went, I was like, maybe I want to be an attorney. I like the law, so I enrolled as a pre-law major at Evangel and did that. And I fell in love with it. I loved the law. I loved learning about it. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to start playing music and writing music. It was kind of a new leaf in my life of going to college, and so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just start, singing a little bit. And so I started writing some songs my freshman year, and just there's tons of coffee shops in college town, so I would just go to these coffee shops with nobody there, literally like 3 people there, and I said, hey, can I, set up and play some music here? And they said, yeah, and so I'd play to nobody and just play like an hour or 2 of just songs I've written, I'm covering songs.
Cool.
And at that time, I was just writing like pop songs. They were positive lyric, but they weren't necessarily Christian songs. They were just about girls and life and all that stuff. And started doing that, and then after my freshman year of college, I had the opportunity to record my first EP, or my first little 5-song record, and released it to nobody. Like, I didn't have a following or anything like that. I just released it and had people listen to it. Then I kind of figured out social media. Instagram had just come onto the scene at that time. And so I started figuring that out and posting to Instagram and really got a following doing that. And by the end of my sophomore year, I had generated a pretty good following on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to LA and recorded another record. Released that, and that song charted at number 10 on the singer-songwriter iTunes charts when it released. And did that thing I rode that train for another year of just doing playing coffee shops, clubs, and things like that around my college town and outside of my town a little bit. And then, but I was still in the church, still going to Christian college. And my junior year, I just started writing a bunch of Christian songs. That's what I was writing. I wasn't intentionally saying I'm going to write Christian songs, but that's just what was coming out of me. And I said, well, maybe now's the time to maybe try Christian music, maybe do a little Christian project. So I went back to LA, did a little 3-song Christian project about midway through my junior year, released that. And then my senior year of college, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was thinking about law school, but I was like, man, music really sounds like a lot more fun to do than going to law school, but I still love the law. But I said, maybe I don't know what I'll do. So my senior year of college, right before spring break, a guy reached out to me. His name is Ryan, and he's a Christian manager down in Nashville. And he said, "Hey, found you on Instagram. Just saw your video on the Explore page. Clicked on it, liked what I heard. Saw you're a Christian. Would you want to come to Nashville and do some writing sessions with some labels?"
Oh man.
I said, "Heck yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good."
Yeah.
So my spring break, my senior year of college, I drove down to Nashville, I think, and did like 5 days straight of meeting labels and talking to those guys and just doing writing sessions, like 8 to 10 hours of writing a day.
Man, that's cool.
Did that for a week, and then once we got all those songs back from those writes, and he listened to them, and the labels listened to them, he said, "Hey, if this is something that you might want to pursue as a career, I know you're about to graduate, move down here to Nashville, and I'll work with you." And so that's what I did. I was like, thank you, Lord, an opportunity to go play music for a living. And so moved to Nashville, started serving tables at P.F. Chang's,
Of course,
Chinese
man.
restaurant.
That's
Got to
the way
pay
it
the
goes.
bills, man. People see it all as all glorious. You get like a team around you, and things start flowing. It's not necessarily how it works. Got to get a job, got to keep the lights on at my house. Wasn't married at the time. I was dating my wife, but we weren't married or anything, and she was still living in Michigan. And so I was just,
you're in Tennessee and she's up here.
yeah.
Dude, that's a canyon between
Yeah.
you right there.
And
man.
so I just started working at Chang's and serving tables, trying to make a buck, and then doing music on the side, talking to labels. And then a couple years ago, about a year ago, it kind of went more full time, like touring a lot more, getting the opportunities like this that I'm here now. And so for the last year or so, I've just done music, and it's been a great blessing. So that's how I'm here today, through my journey of starting music, and nothing crazy spectacular, just God's favor and me trying to be faithful to the calling He's put in my life. So.
And you live in, where do you tell me you live right now?
Nashville.
You live in Nashville.
We live in
still.
Nashville. My wife and I live in Nashville now. Yeah.
Okay.
So she moved down. We were actually long distance for 2 years.
Yeah.
Michigan to Nashville.
Right.
Luckily,
Right.
I was a server and doing a little bit of music at that time, so I had the flexibility to. We weren't going months without seeing each other. So every other week or so, I'd just drive up, about an 8-hour drive. Nothing. It's not terrible. It's a long way, but it's nothing. It's not like 16 hours. So it's 8 hours. Just I'd drive up and we'd hang out and got to know her family and stuff, and then asked her to marry me. So she said yes.
Well, you figure if you can deal with the distance and stuff that's going on, you might as well. You can tell when God's going to work that out, because we're not talking a normal lifestyle here.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Hindsight's 20/20, right? And you kind of question God's plans while they're developing. You're like, no, this is making a lot of sense, but He's so much wiser than we are. And looking back at it, that long distance part of it really prepared us for where we are now. Because I'm gone on tour, and we'll be gone for, like, on big tours. We'll be 6 weeks. We'll be gone 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And most couples, it's hard for them. I've never been away from each other for that long.
Yeah.
And us, experiencing, kind of developing our relationship in a long distance situation, it kind of became more natural to us, and we're able to deal with that very easily. I mean, it's hard being away from my wife, and
Sure.
That's never easy. You always want to be with your spouse, but she's 100% supportive of what I'm doing and my dreams and the calling that I have in my life. And it's hard, but we make it work. It's functional, and we've learned how to work with that kind of lifestyle that's not so traditional.
Well, and that's what I meant by not normal. Pardon me, I didn't mean to say you weren't normal, but but
No,
you know
I
what
know.
I mean? Not traditional sounds better. It's a better way to say it, because don't you have to kind of look at it and say it's not going to be this way forever, but it's how it has to be right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we see. We see the long term, and we see like what we stick it out now, and we both believe that this is where God has me for a reason. And that's one thing I've learned through moving to Nashville, trying to make a music career. It's like, just grow where you're planted.
Yeah.
Try to see what God's doing in those waiting periods of your life.
Yeah.
Because He doesn't make you wait for no reason. Like, there's a message, there's something to learn in that waiting. God doesn't do things for pointless reasons.
Always has a plan. That boy, you learned that at a young age. You'll build on that every day of your life.
And it's still a struggle. I mean, it's still like one of those things where it's like, oh, when things kind of stall out and nothing's really happening with music, or you're kind of trying to get to the next step, it's just like, oh, I'm perfectly fine. Like there's still anxiety, there's still like questioning. Like I'm not gonna act like I'm just like, oh yeah, I totally trust. He's got it. I'm not worried at all. Like there's still like those times of worry and angst and anxieties, but it's one of those things where you just got to keep reminding yourself that you're not in control of the situation. Ultimately, his hands are on it, and he's gonna take you where he wants you to be.
That's
if
right.
you're faithful to his steps.
And that's the difference in doing something just on your own or doing a God thing. Because just hearing your story, it's beautiful to see how God pieces it all together. And he's not done. That's the great part about it. Where you're at now, down the road, in just 2 years' time, things can change a lot. Because it has for you in 2 years' time. Year and a half married, and then look where you're at in your musical career and ministry right now. And I can tell you guys would rather us call it ministry. Career almost makes it sound like you're out there for yourself, and I know you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is a ministry, isn't it?
It is. I mean, this is what the way we see it. I mean, I'm speaking for Finding Favor as well, but for me, I know their hearts are in the same place. Like we don't. This is a job. Like this is what we do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's vocational ministry. I mean, we're here. Our goal is to have God do what He wants with us. And that's what we're here singing songs that we hope that if one person is in the room, it's the person who needs to hear what we're saying or what God's saying through us. That is our ministry, and what we do we do ministry through song. Just like pastors do ministry through preaching and the word. We try to do that the best as we can through our shows and the words through our song. I think that's really important. With believers is worship. I think that's a big part of relationship with God is worship, and we try to create an atmosphere where that may be a little more accessible to people.
Good, that's fantastic. You're not 9 arms away and bodyguards around you and don't touch us or whatever. I mean, especially you're coming here in the middle of a farm where our church is at, setting up, being where you're at. That tells me a lot about your guys' heart, and you fit in with them, or they wouldn't have you with them.
Yeah, it's been a great fit. Like I knew one of the Finding Favor guys before the when we met on the Toby tour back in January. I knew one of them, but I'd never met Blake or Alan. I'd never met any of those guys, and we just developed a friendship, and that's really what it was. It was like when you bring someone on the road with you, it's got to be someone that you're okay spending a lot of time with in a very confined space. And so that's one of the biggest things with like touring with somebody. It's like, can I live with this person for months on end in a van? Like that plays a big role. So I consider these guys good friends of mine. It's more than just like, oh, we're just kind of bands, because I've heard stories of bands that tour together that don't necessarily hang out or like each other all that much. They just do it.
Yeah,
it happens a lot in the secular world. In like the non-Christian industry. It happens a lot. Like bands just tour with each other just because like they know they can get a crowd, and so they just don't really hang out with each other. They just kind of use each other for mutual gain, and it's not that way at all with me and Finding. Wow, we have a great friendship, great relationship, and I truly enjoy. We have a good time. Like it's just there's a lot of laughs, a lot of good times, and just enjoying each other's company. And there's something in that with like brotherhood as well. I think being on the road with guys and fellowshipping with men. As men of God, and a lot, Blake has a wife and kids. I have a wife, and being around people who are in the same line of work that you are, and who have been where you're trying to go, and they can kind of feed into you. And Blake's been great about that. Like just with being an artist and family, like just feeding into my life. I'm so grateful for those guys.
What God does, He does well. All things work for good together to them that love the Lord.
Yes, sir.
And you're right. It's not just what we see. That's what I wanted to ask you. We see you out there, singing and feeling the God's presence and stuff. But isn't that really? That's a smaller capsule of time. You're in the van driving. You're talking to people. You're at home. You're doing a lot of other things at a larger volume of time than on a stage somewhere or in a church somewhere singing.
Yeah.
And that's all we see.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, man, it's glamorous, and you're driving a Lamborghini, and you got a 90-foot. 1,000 mansion and all this stuff, whatever that is. I'm 90,000 square foot mansion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we all think, and that's far from the truth, especially when you're doing it for God.
Yeah.
So what would you tell us to say, this life is the best, but it's not what you see, your perspective of it. When people have their hands up and clapping, they love the way you're portraying the message, and they love you, but we're not worshiping you.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the difference in a worldly thing and in a God thing.
Yeah.
Talk to us about balancing that out, because you can't tell me that the old deceiver doesn't want to come in there and pop up on your shoulder and go, "Hey, pal, you're awesome."
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So one of my buddy, one of my good friends is a worship leader in North Carolina, and on there, I love if we could play on the same stage every day, I would have this on the door going out on the stage, because on their door they have a sign that says there's like 2 rules. One, this is not about you, and then number 2 is check your zipper. So
we all need those reminders.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
But I just love that. Like, it's just not. It's not about us, and that's something that there's a fine line that we walk, especially as musicians. I think pastors walk this line too. That that are shepherds, and they lead people and try to help that. And it's easy to just get sucked into the whole. Your face is on T-shirts, your face is on CDs, and you're like, oh man, I look good.
Yeah,
I like that photo shoot, man. And it's one of those things where that's what we try to pray before every show, and tonight we'll pray with you before the show, and every night we're just saying, hey, like, ready our hearts for what's about to happen. Empty ourselves of ourselves and let us be vessels for you.
Good.
And that's and it is hard. It's not easy to, especially when people are meeting you after the show. And what's nice about the Christian industry is after a show, most of the time when you're interacting with fans or just people who've never seen you before, 99% of the time what they're saying is like, man, you did a great job, like, felt the Spirit, love your heart. It's not like, oh my gosh, like, I love you as a person. Like, most of the time they're complimenting your worship, or they're complimenting your ability to lead worship, or that they felt the Spirit through you. And it's like, and one of those things where you just got to prepare yourself not to take that as a complimenting me, but as in, like, they're complimenting me because God was moving through me at the moment to touch them. Like, and I think they understand that too. That's what's awesome about the Christian industry is, and playing in churches like this, like we're doing on this tour, is like a lot of the people are believers. We do reach new people every night, but most people are believers, and they appreciate what God's doing through us. Yeah. And they understand that balance that we kind of walk, but it's not all glamorous at all. Like, it's and it is out here we don't make a ton of money. It's not like we go home to these mansions or anything like that. But I could say that I would rather do this than make $1 million a year doing something I hated. If someone said, "Hey, go sit at an office," some people that works for some people. I'm not dogging that at all.
I got you.
But if someone said, "Hey, go sit at an office and sit at a computer, 9 to 5 every single day, and I'll give you $1 million a year," I'd be like, man, that's not. I've learned that that's not worth hating my life for.
Exactly.
Like, the money is. You think money is everything, and when you're younger, you're like, man, I'll do anything if I can just have a nice car and a nice house. Yeah. And then you grow up a little bit, and and I have a wife now, and you kind of figure out what really matters.
Absolutely. In
life, and then it's like, man, there's some things that money just cannot buy, and most of that is happiness.
Right.
And I'm so fulfilled with what I do, doing this, that it's so much fun. Like, and it's, even though it's not the most glamorous thing all the time, there's nothing I'd rather be doing than what I'm doing, and that's honest truth.
I can tell that. I can see just the sparkle that comes out of your eyes, and I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice and the love you have for God. It's a balance between, don't ever overlook the fact that God made you the way He did. You have the gifts and the talent for a reason, so you're using it for Him, and you give Him the glory. That's why He's using you so well right now. So I appreciate that. Young America needs to be reminded of that. I'm only 49, so I'm acting like I'm this sage old man. But you know what I mean? I think so many people are after how to get somewhere quick. And you mentioned social media being as a way people can, their ministries and careers can go quicker because of that than it used to be. You hear the stories about guys going to Nashville, knocking on doors, living there for 10 years, eating potatoes, until they can get discovered or whatever. So it's a different world with that kind of thing, but you still have to have the ability, and you still have to have the heart and the grind. I mean, P.F. Chang's, every every restaurant in Nashville's got 3 people that want to be music people. You know,
more than. I mean, it's like it's crazy in Nashville. Like everybody has the thing I've learned is my mentors I've spoke to is like don't mistake someone's step 40 for your step 2.
Yeah.
You know, like the person who's on the tour, you know, is making a good living playing music. Like they're on step 50 or 60. You know, you're still on step 2. Don't compare yourselves. You know, a lot of the time people don't see the struggle it took for people to get there. They just see like, oh, he's a new artist. Oh wow, he's just blowing up. It's like most likely that artist has probably been doing that for 10 to 15 years before he got that break.
Yeah.
You know, and so and anybody in the music industry will tell you this, that patience is the name of the game.
Sure
and
thing.
It's just don't come in expecting everything to just happen. Like it does happen to some people. Like, you know, God has opportunities for some people that he doesn't for others, but that's the exception. I mean, just coming to town and blowing up that's the exception.
Right.
You know, the rule is come to town, live here for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, grind it out and then get your chance to go and get on the big stage if you will.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, patience is the name of the game, and sticking out and trying to stay faithful to it because it's easy to say yes, God, I'm on board.
Yeah.
When everything's going smoothly, right? Like,
oh
it's
man!
Like,
oh
you're just
yeah!
like, woo, yeah, like this is easy, God. Like I'm good to go. Like you can just you can step back now. Now that you've put me here, I got this going. You know.
Yeah.
It's super easy to do that, and that's something I've struggled with. Is like trying to in the good times, like in the bad time, it's easy to fall back on God. You're like, hey man, kind of need you to help me out with this next tour coming up. With this, you know, I got nothing going on this time. You mind kind of hooking something up for me? And then in the good times, you come and put it in the backseat. So
sure,
that's something I've struggled with. And I still try to work with is, you know, even like the best of times, like you didn't get there on your own. Like you didn't do this. It's not of my doing.
Right.
You know, trying to keep God at the center even when it's easy to kind of forget about him.
It is, and you just, that's the age-old thing with God right there, because it's a spare tire. We just reach for him when we have a flat, and then we go on down the road. When you learn he is your best friend as well as your Savior and Lord, he wants to celebrate when things are going well. If you had a friend you only call when you're in trouble, they're not going to answer after a while. And we treat God that way too often. That's great stuff. I appreciate that.
I think he's so gracious.
Oh man, we could be here months and months on end talking about how gracious he is to us. You know, wrap it up with this, because I always like to end it with an encouraging part to somebody. If somebody's listening and they're just really struggling because maybe they're in their world, whatever that is, it's just not happening yet for them. You talked about patience, which was beautiful a minute ago. How would you just encourage somebody today to tell them that they're feeling like, you know what, it's just not happening for me. I don't see why I should struggle and grind because I don't see God moving. How would you encourage them today?
Man, I would say that I was in that same situation about 6 months ago. About 6 months ago, I almost walked away and said, it's not going to work. And I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go get a job. And I almost, like, you know, at the beginning of this year, I almost just gave it up and said, it's not going to work. I've been here for 4 years trying to do this, and nothing's happening. I'll just move on. And you know, I had before, like last fall, I got the opportunity to tour, but then it kind of dropped off. Then it looked like I wasn't going to be doing any kind of touring through, you know, the winter or the spring or anything. And I was just really discouraged, and I was kind of just like standing still. You know, I felt like there was no momentum. And my advice to someone that's in that kind of situation is just really seek what God has placed in your heart. And that's something I did at the time. And I just prayed. I did a 40-day prayer challenge, some fasting, and just God worked in miraculous ways to get me to where I am now from just 6 months ago in my career.
Good.
Which is a whole different story. But for someone who's just kind of in the struggle right now, that's kind of confused maybe about, like, you know, God, I feel like you've placed this calling in my life, but nothing's happening. You know, that happens a lot. I would just say, first seek God. You know, do all you can do. I mean, pray like it depends on God, but work like it depends on you.
There you go.
You know, so just keep working, keep praying, and just try to seek what God has for your life. I promise you, He will open doors for you. If you keep seeking Him, you keep knocking, doors will open.
Yeah.
They might not be the doors that you thought were going to open,
right?
but doors will open,
right?
And you'll get to the next thing, and God might have a new calling on your life that you had no idea that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Or He might open the door that you're knocking on.
Yeah.
And just keep knocking, keep working, keep praying, seeking Him. It'll all be okay.
Man, you're singing my song because I know a lot of times I've knocked on a door and the one behind me opened up instead of the one I was knocking on.
Yeah.
And it was better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. That's great advice. Always just, it's not a cliche because it works. Seek the Lord while He may be found, you know, and
Yeah.
call on Him. He's always near. Sometimes waiting is the time we get stronger, and
Yeah.
we've all been there.
Yeah.
And you'll remember that 6 month stretch, you know, when you're there and thinking about that stuff where you're at now. You appreciate that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you learn how to handle it, don't you, down
Yeah.
the road? Absolutely. Hey, where can everybody find you and like catch up with you and check up on you and see what you got going on in your ministry?
Yeah, you can. Well, if you want to listen to my music, you can get it anywhere you listen to music: iTunes, Spotify, any place, YouTube, any place you get music, you can find me on there. Just under Jonathon Waterman. I spell my name with an O at the end of it, Jonathon, then Waterman.
Can't beat that, Waterman. Yeah.
Instagram. I'm not on Twitter, so Instagram and Facebook. And then if you want to listen to my music, go on to any place where you can find music, and I'll most likely be there.
And I can attest iTunes. I searched on there and found it and started listening. I did a podcast to promote this weekend a couple days ago, and I used Undefeated on there.
Oh,
your
cool.
song.
Yeah.
We fell in love with that song. That's
Awesome.
a great anthem to Christ.
It is. That's my anthem song, and so
Yeah, I love it.
yeah.
Love it.
Thank you.
Hey
Appreciate
man,
it.
thanks for sitting in with me today. I know it's bedlam around here. There's so much happening. We got a lot of things going on. We're excited, but honestly, we really are honored you guys are here with us this weekend. And so, thanks for sitting down with me today and spending some time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here tonight. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Jonathon Waterman. Make sure you go to jonathonwaterman.com.
Yep.
Is that it? And it's stuff on iTunes and wherever he's at. But good young man, loves the Lord, and we're behind him. We're gonna be praying for you. You got a whole church of people that you're on their list from now on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
From day to day, you're the one I'm living for. Yesterday, today, forevermore. I believe you lived. I believe you died. But on the third day you rise. On your throne in my heart you're seated. Even in death you're undefeated. You are undefeated. I believe you live. I believe you rose from the dead.